Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So, today I'm going to talk about the Trump administration and their policy with respect to private prisons. I'm going to talk about the issue of mass incarceration. And I want to shout out one of my subscribers, John Pro, for recommending this very important subject. This is a very important subject, worthy of attention. And I encourage you all, if you come up with ideas for different videos, please let me know. I'll be glad to consider them. So, I welcome your ideas and your feedback. Before I get into the substance of this video, I have to remind people of the importance of elections. And every opportunity I get, I'm going to do so. And I'm going to remind you of those who told you that elections don't matter. They said that elections don't count. They said there's no difference between these political parties. They discouraged people from voting. They said federal elections don't matter. And they actually had don't vote campaigns. And the odd thing is, these very same people now have the audacity to complain about Donald Trump being a racist. They now have the audacity to complain about Donald Trump's appointments to his cabinet. They now have the nerve and the gall and the audacity to complain about Trump's policies. Well, I say that these people have proven themselves to be unfit to lead. They have. And I'm going to remind them every time Trump imposes one of these backwards, repressive, and oppressive policies. I'm going to remind them every time. Trump, during the campaign, this man received funding from the private prison industry. They supported his campaign because they knew that he would implement policies beneficial to the private prison industry. His immigration policies would encourage more incarceration, more mass incarceration of people. And that means more money for the private prison industry. They knew that his law and order talk and his law and order policies would result in more people being locked up. So that meant more money for the private prison industry. They knew that his stop and frisk policies and his other regressive policies would benefit the prison industrial complex. So they gave money to this man's campaign. And how did this man reward them after he got elected? He rewarded them by reversing the Justice Department's policy under Obama. The Obama administration had a policy where they were trying to reduce the number of private prisons that the Department of Justice uses. In fact, they had a goal of ultimately eliminating the use of private prisons. And I will talk about why this issue is important. I will talk about why the issue of the privatization of prisons is very important. But despite the differences between the Obama administration and the Trump administration in terms of this issue of privatization of prisons, you still had these people telling you and me that there were no differences between these political parties. You still had people complaining, saying Obama hasn't done anything for black people. These people are simply uninformed. They don't know what the hell they are talking about. They are not in tune to the news. They are not informed about the issues. They don't know what the hell they are talking about, period. So now that Jeff Sessions is the U.S. Attorney General, he has reversed Obama's policies in terms of this issue of the DOJ using private prisons. Now he wants to return to the DOJ using these private prisons. And as a result of that, now the stocks in these private prisons have increased. The value of them have increased. After the election of Donald Trump, the value of these stocks increased because they knew that once they got Trump into office, that he would support the expansion of these private prisons in our country. Now, the reason why this issue of private prisons is so important is because private prisons create a perverse financial incentive to lock up more people. More people behind bars means more money for the prison industrial complex. So there's an incentive to create laws that make it more likely that you're going to lock up more people. We have to remember, not only do the private prisons benefit by having more prisoners in their prisons, they also benefit other private industries that use those prisons for basically slave labor, where people are forced to work and they receive slave type wages. So you have these private, not only the prisons, but these private companies that financially benefit from the privatization of prisons. So what happens is you have companies that have huge investments in these prisons. You have companies that invest in these prisons, uh, also participating in the political process, also participating in the formulation of legislation and laws designed to lock up more people. You know, policies designed to lock up more people, like this whole anti immigrant sentiment. I will include links in the description box of two articles that point out how this whole anti immigrant sentiment will result in more immigrants being locked up, and that means more money for these private prisons. And because of that, stocks have gone up for these private prisons. So you have these people, these companies lobbying members of Congress, lobbying the White House, on this, lobbying on the state, local, and federal level in order to impose policies designed to increase prison incarceration, which results in more money for these companies. So instead of creating laws designed to serve the public good, they are creating laws designed to lock people up so that they can benefit financially from it. Laws such as the three strikes laws, the whole situation of the war on drugs where many nonviolent drug offenders are locked up and, used for private labor. And then the immigration policy, which I mentioned before, and Trump's whole law and order issue. All of these policies drive the problem of mass incarceration in this country, which is nothing but the new slavery. In the words of Kanye West, those people become the new slaves. That's what we're looking at. And if you have not seen it, I encourage each and every one of you to watch 13th. It's streaming on Netflix now. You could watch it. That movie documents a lot of the things that I'm saying about private prisons and, just how they work in terms of profits and just the messed up incentives that they have to lock up more people. Mass incarceration has devastated the black community. This call for law and order, all that's going to result in is more black people being locked up. The Trump administration is already trying to reverse not only this issue of private prisons, they're also trying to reverse changes in terms of uh, dealing with the problem of drugs in this country. So I'm very concerned about these prisons, you know, and this issue of profits over people, this issue of making profits at the expense of the people. Those are some very serious issues. So tell me what you think. Please rate, comment, and subscribe. Peace.